What's up guys, Sam here. Welcome back to Samcraft. In today's video, school is almost in session, and that means it's time to create an xTool F1 template for engraving pens or pencils. That's right, it being the end of June, almost July, this is the prime time for us fellow small business owners, side hustlers, or people of making opportunities to realize school is almost in session. People are going to be looking for back to school items, and customized pencils, pens, or other writing utensils might just be an additional item you could add to your repertoire to give yourself an edge, or at least cash in on the back to school frenzy that our commercial society has created. In today's video, I'm going to be featuring the xTool F1 with the slide extension table, show you guys how you can take just a sheet of material, in my case 3mm Baltic birch plywood, use only the laser itself, cut out a template, build the template, and then use the template to engrave up to 30 pens or pencils. We're here at the desk and I have launched xTool Creative Space and opened the pen and pencil jig file. I want to take you guys through not only the file, but also the process of making a jig completely from scratch. So this will be a step-by-step on using the file, interpreting it, making it, and just seeing the whole process as is. So in a lot of my files, I use what xTool calls canvases. They are the tabs down at the bottom of your screen. And if you open or bind in my files and you're not where you think you should be, check down below. There's probably tabs that'll take you where you want to go. So we're going to click right here on the Start Here tab, and we're going to start here on this tab. So this gives us the title. This is the pen and pencil jig for the xTool F1 with the slide extension. This is a thank you. Thank you for supporting my business, for buying the file. This purple text here says watch the video on YouTube, which you guys are watching. Next up is email me with any questions, things like that. And then over here at the right, this is what I really want you to take note. And as of the creation of this file, xTool Creative Space does not have a way to lock down layers and prevent them from being moved around. I've grouped as many objects in the file to help keep them aligned properly, but still take great care in keeping them aligned and pay close attention to their coordinate positions as you work. This is probably the #1 thing to realize, that with xTool Creative Space, as of yet, I can't lock things in place, which means if you accidentally click, drag, or move, or do something weird, you do have the possibility of getting your template or jig lines out of alignment and mess things up. With the intro out of the way, our next tab is called Make the Panels. You want to take a guess what we're going to do on this one? That's right. This is the jig panel cut section, the tab. This is for cutting out the jig panel boards to use for constructing your jig. Only the 2 green lines will output to this machine. So what you're seeing here is a bunch of purple text. You got a little black arrow. This is always there to remind you that's where you want to align your piece. But as far as what's going to run from this, it's just these 2 green lines. You have 1 horizontal, 1 vertical. As you can tell, when I hover over them, they both highlight. These are grouped together. I grouped them so that hopefully if something happens, you go awry, you click it, and I don't know, we drag it out of place. It's easy to select the green lines. And down here, this little purple arrow, the cut lines are grouped and should be at position 0, 0. So we'll go up here with them selected, 0, 0, enter. And that puts them back where they need to be. Okay, so the purpose of this tab, this section here, is to allow you to cut your own panels for the jig. You don't need to have another machine to cut your panels. You don't need to have woodworking tools. If you have the xTool F1 with the slide extension, which hopefully you do because this is what this file is for, you can make your own. So over here at the xTool, I've already loaded up a piece of 3mm Baltic birch plywood. It's what I prefer to use for a lot of my stuff. I have it clamped down, I have it pushed up at that far back left corner, the home position, and I'm ready to go ahead and run this particular tab, this particular job. Let's run it now. So I've got it set, it should be good. The one thing I will note on the cut lines, you need to make sure you have whatever your parameters are for cutting plugged into the green layer, the one that's labeled cut lines. You're going to see that I use the blue light, 100% power, 3mm per second. I have found that's all I need to cut through the 3mm Baltic birch plywood. So that probably will work for you. But again, if you do not know your settings, right here in all caps, if you do not know your settings, run cutting and engraving tests first. Do that before you waste your material. That being said, let's go ahead and click Start. We're going to get our preview. It's not going to look like a whole lot. You've just got a line at the bottom and a line at the right. In fact, it might even be difficult to see on screen, but it's there. We'll go ahead and click start. The machine's beeped, it's ready to rock and roll. So we'll go ahead and press the button on the xTool and cut out our jig panel. Remember, we need 2 of these. So I'm going to run the job first. When that's cut out, I'll flip it over, put it back in place, and run this job again to give me 2 in the end. All in all, not bad. It took each of these about 2 minutes and 46 seconds to cut, according to xTool's timer, which is correct, and that's not bad. So starting off with a sheet of 12" by 20" 3mm Baltic birch, I'm able to get 2 of these panels out of it. So it's the only piece you need for this kind of project. Now, you don't have to use the template to make this. If you'd rather make these on another machine, that's fine. I placed the dimensions of these in the file, and I've got it set to 360 millimeters wide and 110 millimeters tall. But again, I designed this with the expectation, or at least the opportunity for you, to be able to make absolutely all of this just with the one machine you already have. With both of the jig panel cuts done, we can now move on to our next tab. That is called Make the Jig. Alright, going down here to the bottom, clicking on Make the Jig, we are presented with another tab of excitement, I guess. This is the Jig Engraving and Cutting tab. It will engrave and cut the top panel board for your jig. This includes all of the text engraving, as well as all of the little slots we're going to be cutting out of our panel to nest our pens or pencils into. Gives a positive reference. This is a physical jig, not just a template or engraved line. Everything in this is grouped. This is all one giant group. This is to allow you to double check when I click on any of it, my position is X equals 0, Y equals 0. It's a common theme throughout this whole thing. I'm trying to make it easy for you. So just double check that before you actually run the job. My material is loaded. I have not adjusted or changed the focus knob, so the machine is still in focus. So I'm ready to go ahead and click on Start down here at the bottom. Let it process everything. I can zoom in here and take a look. I've got text on the left. I have a ton of rectangles I'm cutting, and I have text on the right. Good. So we'll go ahead and click Start. So now I'm ready to take you guys over there, let you sit back and enjoy the sped up version of making the actual jig top plate. You guys still awake? You still with me? So yeah, this thing does take a while to run. Right now it's at 32 minutes on the job, and it's got a little bit longer to go. So I'll take this moment in time in the video to let you guys know, I get asked a lot where I get materials from, where to buy laser material from, and my source for a while now has been a website called Maker Stock. I am not sponsored or affiliated by them in any sense that I am like selling you to go to them, or I get kickbacks if you do or don't, or buy or don't. It's just a place that I've used for a long time that gives good consistent results, and it's who I'm using the material for with this project today. So I figured I would let you guys know. For those who are interested, they sell plywood, they sell acrylic, colored, solid acrylics, some that look like glass, a lot of cool stuff. And they're a company based in the US, in Pennsylvania, I'm pretty sure, and a relatively small business overall. So there'll be a link to their website down below. I did get a discount code from them, So I'll put that code down there. Again, that doesn't give me any kickback at all. So don't feel obligated, and don't think that, you know, Sam's only peddling it because he gets money. He doesn't. It's just who I'm using for material and who I've had good results with overall. This turned out great. What I'm going to do next is go ahead and glue this to my backer board that we also created. What we do now is take our backer board number 1 along with this piece, and we're going to glue them together. The number 1 and 2 thing to make sure you've got dead on is this edge is flush and this top edge is flush. Don't worry if they don't perfectly line up on the bottom or on the far right side. Those are not your reference points. But this left side and this top side, they need to be dead on. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this up with probably some spray adhesive and then maybe some touch-ups here and there with CA glue. Whatever it takes to get the job done, we'll do that. And then I will also hit this with the sander to clean up and get rid of any of the soot. Alright. The template is put on the xTool, and I've just opened up my pack of pencils. These are some cheap ones from the dollar store, because honestly, I'm going to be doing this for maybe the second time total, and I didn't want to waste any really good quality ones for, you know, just me learning. The first thing to do is to measure your working space. How much have you got to play with? When I put my digital calipers on this pencil, it looks like my maximum width, the face left to right as we're seeing it here, is 3.4 millimeters. And to remember that, because when I go into xTool Creative Space and design things, my design, I don't want any wider than that. So we have the file opened up here, so let's go ahead and run through this one. This is the final tab on the file, the one that says Your Designs Here. It's the one you're going to use to place your designs. So here at top we see the title, pen and pencil template. This is where you design and run your jobs from. Number 1, verify the position of the template is x equals 0, y equals 0. Let's go ahead and do that now. I will click on this big group of lines. Once I've clicked it once, up at the top, my position x is 0 and y is 0. Good. We may advance to the next level. Number 2, align your designs within the purple boxes. So as we look here, you see purple boxes, green lines, and an orange line. The purple box signifies the cutouts that we did on our template. The green line are vertical center points within the cutouts to help you center your designs on your slot. And then the orange line is what I use as a reference line or a layout guide. For these pencils, I measured down to where I wanted my designs to start. I wanted them a certain distance away from the end. I measured that, I put it in here and moved that orange line down from the top of the purple rectangles that much distance to match where I want it. So that's what I mean by reference line or a layout guide. You can move the orange line around, you can delete it, do whatever you want. But that's what it is, and that's how I use it. So what we're going to do now is click down here at this little red text at the bottom. If I zoom in here, we're going to see how original it is. This is going to be like, some stuff's going to blow your mind. Look at that. We're going to do the Samcraft website. sam-craft.com. How original. Alright, so I'm going to select this, and remembering that when I measured my pencils, my max width is 3.4 millimeters. I'm going to go up here to the size. Currently it's at 2.1. Let's go ahead and make that, max is 3.4, let's do 3 millimeter. Alright, zooming out, we can now take our design, and I'm going to drag it over to this first slot. Then I will zoom in, and then line it up. It should snap to the grid. You see how I'm holding it here and it kind of pulled over. xTool seems pretty good about snapping to lines, so we'll do that, and then I can pull it up to the top a little bit. What I'll do here though is with the text selected, hold down the shift key on my keyboard, and now I'm going to click on that orange line. I'll go up here to the top where it says align, and I'll go to align top. That moves that text right up to the top where that orange line is. At this point I can copy and paste, go on and on and on down the line, or I can use a feature in xTool Creative Space called Array. I'll use that one because that might not be one that you know. So I'll select my object that I want to create an array from, go up top to Array, and then come down to Grid Array. I'm going to click that. It immediately defaults to 2 X columns, 2 Y columns. X is left and right, Y is top and bottom. I'm going to say only one Y row. We'll say, let's do 5 pencils. So 5 X columns. Now if you look here in the background how it is not lining up correctly, it's not where I want. It's because we need to space these apart from each other to get them to line up. So let's see if I can do this. I think 11 millimeters was the spacing. Looks like it's a little bit off. Was it 7? Close enough. So I'll go ahead and say okay to this. And then what I'll do from here is just click and drag over. Alright, everything looks good from a design standpoint. I have 5 of my pencils, or 5 designs. I don't have pencils up here. But the designs are done. What I'm going to touch on briefly is my engraving settings, but this is going to be very dependent upon your material. Your machine possibly might be different, so don't take mine as the end-all be-all. It's just what I'm going to use for this particular pencil. I click on the engraving settings down at the bottom left, and over here I'm going to change my setting to my F1 wood engrave setting. It engraves at 60% power and 100 millimeters per second speed. That's what I found does okay. Obviously, as you do this, maybe you start with just one, dial it in, get your settings correct before you do a whole lot. But I'm going to go ahead and risk it and live dangerous and go ahead and load up 5 of these and engrave them. "45 seconds later, and we have 5 custom Samcraft website pencils. Very nice. Also, as you look at these, the design honestly looks dead on to me. And given that there might be little variances with me placing the pencils, it's really, really good. It's good enough for me. The other cool thing about this template is with it being 2 layers and having the actual cutout you can nest things into, even if you're doing something larger than pencils, say Sharpie markers or larger pens, they're still going to nest into that divot and hold themselves in place. You have a lot more chance of success with this style template than one that is just engraved flat on a piece of wood that would have the possibility to move around. The other thing to point out is that the pencils, as you look at them, look like they would fall off, but as I tap on the ends, they fall back in place. So it must be just on the other side of balance point for this, which is great because it's pretty much the maximum size you can cut out with the xTool F1. If you were to run into an issue where you have longer pencils or something is not balancing correct and it wants to fall forward, what I would probably try to do is get a rubber band and perhaps put a small screw on the left and right hand side of this template on the top, stretch that rubber band and kind of pin things down. You could also do the same thing with some masking tape, or regular Scotch tape would probably also work. Basically anything that's going to keep that object on the template just for the engraving job. There you have it, guys. That's probably about all I could really cover on this template. But if you got any questions or comments, definitely leave them for me down below. There's a link to my website where you can buy this file if you want to make one yourself on your xTool F1. If you've never tried engraving pencils, like I had not really tried before starting to do this video and filming it, it's a pretty cool thing to do. From my research, the time of year where you're going to sell a lot of these is right as people start to talk about back to school, which hopefully I'm hitting early enough for you guys to see this video, get the file, and you can make some for your small business to sell or to give away or use however you see. Either way, I appreciate you guys watching as always. Take care, and I'll see you next time in the workshop.